I'm not gonna lie, this certainly was not my favorite chapter in One Piece, especially because it ramped up a volume, and usually those are done much, much better.
One Piece, Chapter 481, Shadows Asgard.
You mean Asgard?
Well,
no, hello,
Asgard.
my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and I'm here to bring you another review, actually the final chapter in Volume 49 of the epic and magnificent and sometimes a little bit head-scratching tale of One Piece. Now, following the events of the last couple of chapters, I thought were great. 2 chapters back, we had Luffy going toe-to-toe with Oars and just beating the shit out of him. And then, of course, it looking like he was decimated and done by the end of that chapter. Of course, we found out in the last chapter that he got back up, he can't feel pain. But then seeing the whole crew work together to go and wrap this dude up, straighten up his spine, and then have Luffy just go and shatter him, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Second to none as far as the action goes and just the camaraderie, the teamwork, the team building. It feels good, man. It's just a feel-good chapter, right? And then you got this pig. That's what you got. Then you got this pig. This is probably one of the most terrible endings to a volume that I have seen out of the 49 that I've seen. Not because it leaves you on a cliffhanger. You want it to do that. You want each chapter to leave you on some kind of cliffhanger. But because it's getting to be tired of the same old... I'm getting tired of the same old song and dance, okay? 2 chapters ago, Oars and Moria were knocked the fuck out, right? But Oars got back up because he's a zombie and he can't feel anything. I get that, right? I do. I get that, okay? And then you see that's the excuse for the Straw Hats to all work together in unison and see all 9 of them working together to defeat this common enemy. Which they do. They shatter him. His bones fucking broken. He can't even get up. He winds up, we see at a point in this chapter that he's conscious, but he can't even move and get up because everything he couldn't feel. He's like, I didn't feel that, but I can't move. Yeah, because they just shattered your fucking spine, bro. Anyway, that's not the point, though. What winds up happening is we get everybody like, oh, sun's coming up, we're running out of time, we gotta go and wake up Moria and get him to go and release everybody's shadow, right? This is the whole reason we knocked him the fuck out. This is the whole reason we defeated these guys on Thriller Bark, blah, blah, blah. Everybody else has been taken out and defeated and this and that, right? And then Moria goes and he climbs out of Auror's stomach and he says, fools, I don't need anyone to wake me up, I'm awake, and this and that, right? And you're like, okay. And Luffy's small, he's little chibi Luffy because of course he went into 3rd gear and wound up just, taking him out with that huge bone balloon bazooka, right? Taking his ass out. Oars anyway. And Moria then goes and he pulls out this move where he pulls all of the shadows back to him that he has put into and animated other corpses with, and he pulls all of them back into him, and it's called Shadows Asgard, right? And Asgard's cool. That's like that's obviously, Greek mythology, Asgard, and then of course Norse mythology, not Greek. Olympus is Greek. Norse mythology is very much Asgard is kind of like the other plane of existence, almost like the heaven where the demigods like a Thor or an Odin or a Loki or whatever live in. The popular Marvel comics series, as well as the different stuff with Avengers and everything else. So I'm like, oh, cool, Shadows Asgard, right? And basically all it is saying like, hey, I'm an Indian giver. Give me all these fucking shadows back that I put in other people to reanimate them. He talks a little bit about, and I know someone wanted me to make a comparison to this. I'm surprised you didn't catch the comparison to Moria and Luffy. Moria is talking about how he used to rely on other people, but now he used to rely on himself and crew members, and now he doesn't. He just has other people do his dirty work. Yeah, that's nothing like Luffy. Luffy relies on his friends and also does his thing and his intuition, but he relies on the strength of his friends and the bond that he's built with them. He doesn't go and try to go and employ others to do his bidding that don't want to do his bidding, which is exactly what Moria does. So anyway, for me, there was no comparison to be made there. However, Moria gives us a little background about it. And I once, I was going to be king of the pirates, and I had this crew, but you know what? Basically, they could die, and that's probably what happened. That's how he kind of explains it. So that's why, being able to go and reanimate corpses with these shadows is good for me, because I get other people to do my dirty work, and, basically, I don't give a fuck about them. If they wind up dying or something happens to them, hey, fine, put a shadow in another body. So I get his whole mentality. I get his whole evil bad guy mentality, and I get his whole stupid ass laugh or whatever. And I don't know how it's going to sound in the anime. We did just finish up Enies Lobby, though. We are in the post-Enies Lobby arc, and there's some filler I heard after that. And then we've got some Thriller Bark as well that's already been dubbed, and that is actually on the Funimation website, which is actually pretty good. It's like $7 a month for the Gold or Pro account or whatever, so you don't have to watch any ads. And it's cool. There's a lot of great stuff on there, and a lot of it, you know, especially if you like the English dubbed versions of many of these series, as I do, especially with family stuff, you can sit down and watch them and whatnot. So, but anyway, just thought I'd mention that because I was excited when I found it. You know, it was something where I like to contribute and give back to the community, and certainly, you know, $7 or $8 a month isn't going to make or break the bank with me. And then at least I feel like I'm not going and, you know, pirating the things or whatever the case is. So, because that's not something I like to do. And same thing with the volumes and stuff. I just like having them in my hand, man. It's cool to actually just have, you know, and feel and see and smell. There's something about it for me that I just enjoy. Anyways, but the entire chapter is just him going and pulling all these shadows back to him. He says, oh, what, you had 100 shadows in your Luffy? Well, I'm going to have 200, 300, 600. And he's pulling all of them back, and he's like, 1,000 shadows! And he's just like this big, sort of messed up looking beast, you know, probably the size of Oars, except for instead of having an extremely huge upper body and tiny little body like Oars did, he's got like this big like potato look like to him. Not potato, oh my goodness, what is it? What is the fruit? It's a pear. He's a pear shape. Very big and wide at the bottom, but smaller at the top, and these big hulking arms. And he turns into this big freak looking thing. And then basically it's just like, I'm going to take everybody out, all the stuff you've done to Thriller Bark and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, like you didn't invite the trouble in, homie. The reason that I'm not a huge fan of the chapter is because, you know, I'm tired of, I'm at this point now, this is the third chapter in a row where we're just rehashing the same shit, you know. Thought they were defeated? Oh, we're not. Thought you were defeated? Oh, we're not, you know. And I just wonder how long that's going to go on, because now the sun's actually coming up, and everybody's trying to run for the forest, at least all the other people. Everybody who's not a Straw Hat is trying to run for the forest. Oh, hide, get into this and that. But Lola the Proposer's not. Lola the Proposer sees, and she basically is like, hey, listen, the Straw Hats, man, they're hard asses. They're standing here. They're ready to fight. I'm going to do the same thing even if I die, you know? And it's like, that's great. You know, if you were a character that I had seen any more than like 4 panels in the last, you know, 5 or 6 chapters, whatever, maybe I'd care. But for the most part, I look at you and I'm like, you're just a throwaway character anyway. And yeah, the Straw Hats are going to stay. That's what they do. That's what I expect. You wouldn't expect them to go and be like, hide, everybody! Sanji, Zoro, Luffy, hide! You know, the sun is coming up, you know? That's just not them. That's not how they operate. So the chapter winds up ending off, and the volume winds up ending off with Luffy basically, here, I'll even go and read it just to, so I don't misinterpret anything. So you get this big old hulking mass of, and he looks kind of like Humpty Dumpty to me with these big long arms, but, you know, like something out of a just crazy game, maybe like The Evil Within, if anybody's played that, you know, or like a Resident Evil game, you know, as they got a little bit crazier. They had these weird looking beasts. But anyway, we get this, oh, and everybody's freaking out. Oh, no, the Straw Hats are anyway, you know, of course. And he goes and he does this move where he actually goes and starts to, like, you know, he actually, like, splits part of Thriller Bark. Because Thriller Bark, although it looks like an island, is just a giant fucking ship. So I don't know what's underneath it. I don't know how he set it up. I don't know if he set up an island that was floating. And they don't, you know, I haven't explained any of that. But, you know, he winds up starting to break things apart and everything like that. And then as you go and you get the end of it over here, and Luffy's going to go, and Luffy gets up, he finally gets out of chibi mode, you know, and turns back into regular-sized Luffy. And then at the end of it, we get this whole, you know, I'm counting on you to take care of the rest. If it's a nightmare you want, dream it on your own, Moria. And basically, oh, here, I'm sorry. All right, everyone, since we don't have any more time, I'm going to get a little reckless. No, Luffy's going to get a little reckless? That's never happened before. Anyway, and it's frustrating to say because I really do at least have somewhat of a moderate enjoyment for and feel that there's a need for almost every chapter that I have read thus far. Almost 500 chapters into One Piece. This one, though, again, a throwaway chapter for me. Really just something to kind of, you're not advancing the story at all. You're just kind of going and rehashing the same shit. Okay, now we took down Oars twice. Now Moria all of a sudden gets up and he can, you know, now he can do something that he could have done before anyway. But, oh, but he didn't do it then because he hadn't gotten knocked out and he didn't actually think he was going to get beaten. Oh, really? A villain that was overconfident? We've never seen that before. So I'm definitely excited to go and delve into the next volume over here. I haven't opened it up yet, but we're certainly gonna get some reading and some recording and reviews done for that today, because I really cannot wait to see what's going to happen next. And I really hate to ever bash on a chapter. I just personally feel that it didn't do a lot to advance anything. And we really didn't see a lot of anything that I guess you weren't expecting in a way. You know what I mean? I know a lot of times you see Luffy go at you know, a major boss or enemy type character 2 or 3 times, but usually there's some space in between it. Whereas this just was like back to back to back each chapter. Beginning of the chapter feeling helpless, by the end of the chapter you feel like you've won, like you've got a victory, and then immediately at the beginning of the next chapter feel like you're helpless, you've not won, oh no, you didn't get him, but wait, there's more, and then by the end of the chapter, the same thing, the feeling of, oh great, we worked together, we defeated him. Beginning of this chapter, you know, same thing, oh, he's back alive. By the end of the chapter, oh great, he's a giant fucking crazed beast with 1,000 shadows in him, oh, and the sun's coming up too, how are we gonna beat him? Luffy's gonna get a little reckless? That's kind of what Luffy, that's sort of, that should be his motto. That should be tattooed on his forehead backwards so he can see it in the mirror. Like, hey, you're a little reckless, Luffy. I feel that we know that. My chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, so I don't harp too much on this anymore, is ultimately, that's just my opinion. One person's opinion, and sometimes that opinion is derived on the weather that day, how I'm feeling in particular, whether I've gotten laid in the last week or not. You know, there's all these different factors. How many bills do I have to pay? Can I afford all of them? You know, do I have a sinus infection? There's all different types of stuff, you know what I mean? You know, is it Tuesday? And it's the same thing for everybody. There's some chapters that people absolutely love and other people absolutely hate. There's other people that just seem to hate everything. There's other people that love everything. So certainly I try to give a non-biased opinion, but my opinion in this chapter may differ from yours, and I certainly hope it does with a lot of people. So what I would like to know is, what are your thoughts on this chapter, but not just, I thought it was good and I think you're an idiot. You can say that too if you want, I don't care. But specifically, what was it about this chapter that you feel that you enjoyed, or that you thought was necessary, or that you thought was just a positive moment, a good moment in the chapter? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We look forward to catching all of you in the next chapter, in the next volume, Nation. Remember to follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and check out my other channels, and thanks for watching.